Are you ready for the heavyweight championship of the world? Are you ready?
Hey, welcome to Unanimous Corner, bringing you another episode of Unanimous Decision. And today, who we talking to, Bill?
Hey, you heard me say Unanimous Decision. That's our exclusive interview series. And today we have a good one. This beautiful songstress hails from Los Angeles, California. And she brought us the songs, The Way You Love Me, Secret Rendezvous, and the woman's anthem, Superwoman. Today we have the iconic, the beautiful Miss Karyn White. Miss White, Miss Karyn White, welcome to our show and in this corner. How are you feeling today?
Oh, I'm feeling amazing. I'm with you guys. It's a good vibe going on. So I'm excited to be here. You said it's all about the music and you guys are R&B lovers. Hey, I'm in good hands.
There we go. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, we have an undisputed champion with us here today. And we're going to try to last a few rounds with a legend. So Miss White, are you ready to step into this ring?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, let's do it.
See, she already got the hands up, so she's ready.
Hands up. Come on.
So out the gate, Miss White, you were making waves from when you first started. So when you were fresh out of high school, you wrote a song called Automatic Passion, and it found its way into Stephanie Mills's hands. What connections did you have in the music industry at that age that allowed that to happen?
Ah, that's a good question. I love it. Because we got to teach these people, they know the history of a thing, right? So
Yes,
the late great Robert Brookins, who actually sang a duet with her, Where's the Love? And Robert had a deal on MCA, songwriter. I knew him through a boyfriend of mine at the time. And that's why you should have boyfriends that are in business. I'm just kidding. No, I wound up working with him and he came, he's like, I'm writing a song. And I was over, I've been waiting all day. I just started coming up with a melody. And he's like, I love that. And you can't be shy. You know, when you hear something, it's like, all they could do is be like, no, get out of here. No. So that's what happened. Yeah. So that's how I was able to write that song. And he got it to Stephanie Mills because he was working on that record with her. So.
Okay. Wonderful. So, and you started background singing, and then you made your way to the center stage. And not everyone is able to do that. And not everyone is able to make that transition. What difficulties, if any, did you face making your transition from background to center stage?
Interesting, because I had started background singing for legendary artist called O'Brien. I don't know if you guys remember him. Do you remember O'Brien?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay, so he was the Eric Benet of our time. Don Cornelius from Soul Train. He had the theme of Soul Train. He was his manager. So anyway, I toured with him, singing background. And the thing about it is that everyone knew, like, when you see me on stage, I'm all wild, like I'm supposed to be in the background supporting the artist. I'm just back there, just like all the attention, right? So everybody always knew that, you can tell when people, are going to be great, I mean, you just can't stop it. There's that energy. So I've always had that energy. And so it never stopped me. And then I got with a gentleman who taught me how to sing background. When I sang a song for Jeff Lorber, it was my first recording on Jeff Lorber, who is a jazz fusion artist, and I sang a song with him on Warner Brothers, and I think that went like top 15. And once I did that, if the song did well enough, Warner Brothers said, you can do your own album. That's how I was able to do my own album, was through that. So even though I sang background, it was always it wasn't like I was just a background singer. I just had the talent and the skill set to do it. But everyone always knew, get in this room with this person, this producer is going to be there. It's going to lead to something that's will, you'll be able to be a solo artist. So they always knew that. I'm like, I ain't trying to stay here now.
Yeah.
Yeah. The energy again, it's really about who you are, they know.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I do admire about you is you got to a lot of producers early, like you work with Babyface early on, and this is before he was a household name. So was it your idea or the label's idea to kind of like partner you with L.A. Reid and Babyface?
Wow. Okay, I'm not gonna say they weren't a household yet because they were popping.
They were popping, but I don't think.
Oh, not 100 hit, not 100 numbers.
Yes.
Not 100 top 10 records popping. Like,
Yes.
that was a whole nother.
Damn. They were bubbling. They were bubbling.
Yeah, they were bubbling. Yeah, because Jimmy and Terry, they were the ones with Jam. You know what I mean? As far as the producers, you know what I'm saying? We were trying to get to their level, But yeah, so so Babyface in LA, it was at the beginning. Do you guys know Benny Medina? Have you heard that name?
Yes. Yes. Fresh Prince.
Yeah. So Benny Medina used to be the president of R&B music at Warner Brothers. He was at my label. So he's the one who thought, let me put you with this dynamic duo. And so we got together. They heard my record called Facts of Love that I did with Jeff Lorber, the fusion artist. And I met with them at the studio based in LA. And it was great. We hit it off. And we wound up, I think they were only supposed to do 3 songs. They wound up doing 6. And we just had, it was an amazing chemistry that we had together. And I really felt proud to be with them. It was like such, I was seeing them take off at the time because like Bobby had started taking off, don't and every little step, all that. I toured with Bobby for 2 years. So this was like all happening at the same time. And then Face had released his record, and I just saw them, the Whispers, and I just knew, but I had no clue that they were going to, it was going to be 100 songs. I mean, that was crazy. I knew I was in good hands and the talent was there, but it was just, and then, once they signed with their own label with LaFace and came to Atlanta and just what they did. And I was just always so proud of them and just be glad to be a part of their beginning.
It's funny because we interviewed the Whispers, and we interviewed the Whispers, and they amazing guys. And they said how Rocksteady came about. They were working with Face in LA and Daryl, and Babyface said, "We'll come back tomorrow with a hit." Yeah, okay, whatever.
Call the shot.
Yeah, whatever. Sure, we've heard it all before.
Wow, and so he
came back with Rocksteady.
Steady.
Came back with Rocksteady.
That's still, that's something. Yeah, he's something else. And it's so funny because you know how when you're young, because we were all young, and I really was young. I was like 21. And you just feel like you can just do anything. The sky's the limit, you just know you're going to be successful. I don't know why we know it, but youth, they say youth is wasted on the young, right? So I just, I kind of took that for granted. Like the fact that they just kept coming with great songs for me. And then I think about it, it was like, wow, okay, and when, it was, what did we start with? I'm trying to remember. Well, okay, we started we warmed up. It was like this kind of Don't Mess With Me. And then we moved on to a song called Secret Rendezvous. And then we went to, I think The Way You Love Me was kind of almost at the last. And then Love Saw It. And then in the middle of that was Superwoman. And I had no clue that Superwoman was just going to be as big as it was because I was a young girl. I'm 22. What do I know about singing? That song was a big song.
It shocked me when you said your age at the time. I'm like, that's a grown woman singing on that.
I know, exactly. So I'm 22 singing some grown woman stuff about, don't take me for granted and I'm only human and, just you know, this whole women's pride of, you know, love me, you know, don't, you know, and I just, it was really my mother when I sang that song. I remember a lot of my production was in the studio with LA. So Babyface wrote a lot of the, of course they all wrote it,
Yeah.
but they would, some artists would prefer, it was the chemistry. Me and LA had more of a chemistry in the studio. So he would be in there cussing me out. You know, we was a little bit more ghetto because Face was a little shy, and you know, I needed somebody that was just gonna be like, sing that shit over. That ain't, you know. So LA, we're in the studio and he's cussing me out, and I'm like, okay, I gotta, you know, I had to just really say, this is my mother. Like I had to, in acting, we call that substitution. You have to sing a song from a place that's of truth. So I sang it from my mother's point of view, and just, I've always been very emotional, like even as an artist and vocally. And so that's kind of a superpower, because some people, they want to just sound perfect, but I will actually go off to get whatever that real truth is in my music. And it may not sound good, because Face will do it sometimes too.
It sounds organic.
You know, it's just like he'll go for the emotion.
Yes.
Some people be like, why did they hit that note? Where do you go? You know, Face will just, it's raunchy. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean? And even with me, with Superwoman, I was like, we gonna keep that? They're like, yes. You know, that's emotion. And you know, so it's like I really respect them for not just making it sound pretty. It was truthful. You know what I mean? And you know, hearing people like, you know, one of my favorites, you know, I have most of my artists that I admire really are male, because I really don't want to sing like any female artist. But I just have to say how Gladys tells a story. Like when you hear Neither One of Us, or I mean, she's the epitome of like, woo. And so to have her turn around and sing the song, because she sang Superwoman like a year later.
Yep.
Her, Patty, and Dion. I mean, my mind was blown. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
The three icons. I mean, come on. You put all those hits together, and it's years of it. You know, it's a whole generation of like, oh my God, you know, those artists. So I was really just it just really showed me how powerful. I was like, wow, I didn't know that I was singing that song. And then it became so big, you know, because I'm a dance artist too, you know, where, you know, and LA will tell you, you know, he's like, you know, I'm like James Brown and Prince. I mean, that's really Michael, you know. So for that song, you know, it just became so huge, and it was bigger than I thought internationally, and really, it really set me up, separated me from the Jody Watleys at the time, because that was my competition. Yes.
Yes.
You know, it was a separator, you know, and it's my truth, because I really am in awe of women. I'm not a hater. You know how a lot of women don't get along. I really do root for women. I'm like, I'm in awe, because I think women are some cold pieces. I mean, you know. I mean, they really are. And, you know, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. So I think the song picks you, because everybody wanted, you know, that song. I remember Face and Pebbles with Vanessa Williams, you know, there were songs that people wanted, and that, you know, anymore, but that was my song. And I'm just grateful that they saw young Karyn White. They saw that in me, because I didn't see that in myself at that age. You know what I mean?
And you guys created one of the greatest anthems in R&B history. And we can even just say music history. That was one of the greatest anthems. I just remember being a teenager at the time, hearing it, because I'm I think 9 years older than Barry. So so I'm listening at these songs in the late 80s, early 90s with a different ear, because I'm listening at it for my time. But At what point did you realize you guys had a masterpiece with that
I didn't
song?
realize that until 30 years later.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you don't know. It's like you just, you're doing the work. And that's the sad part about me. I'm going to say that because I'm so competitive against myself. And then when you're in this environment, you don't really take the time to sit back and say, oh, I did this, I can sit back. It's like, what's the next? What you gonna do next? So I'm always trying to top what I did or, go to the next level. And so it's not until, 30 years later when I'm just seeing, I'm like, oh my God, all these artists and, the Tamars, the Fantasias, Heather Headley, LaToya Luckett's. I mean, just this whole generation of singers singing the song and that it's still living on and the response that it gets. So I didn't realize that until later, but and then doing the verses thing with Face, you know what I mean? It just was, you're just like, wow, okay, I'm just glad to be a part of his legacy. And, nobody can take that from us, and I'm just thankful that I was there at the very beginning,
Yeah. And speaking of the verses, that's something I want to bring up. So I like to call it the New Jack Swing verses.
Oh, I know.
Right?
Yeah, I love it.
But
we were rocking the whole night.
I love it.
Yeah, and the cool part is you got Babyface, who has million songs. He's written a catalog for like a 1,000 artists, but he actually cites you twice out of his top 20, right? Producers recognize your talent. Do you feel fans give you your just due?
No, I don't. I wouldn't say they don't give me my just due. I believe it's a part of. If I wouldn't have left, I don't know if you guys know this, but I left the business for like 17, 18 years. And if I would have stayed on my trajectory, nobody would have been able to mess with me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I just know that because my beginning was so great, so.
Yes.
But I just feel like I just have to remind them. And so when you come see a Karyn White show, then you go, because, Superwoman is so big that they forget all the other great things that I did. And so it kind of overshadowed me. But then when you see me live, it's like, oh my God, I forgot that. And then just seeing my energy and just, they're like, oh, shoot, we forgot. So that's why the beautiful part about, the verses was great because it showcased these artists,
Yes.
that,
Do you think those major impact songs can also be a hindrance to certain artists?
Yeah, I guess it could be. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I shouldn't say that because let me say this. Look, you are so blessed to have, you understand? It's especially in this day. Woo! It's so competitive. It's like, whoa, it's like you go, it's either superstar or who, you know what I mean? It's so, and it's so many artists. So I'm just grateful, that I do have what they call that an evergreen catalog.
Yep.
And what saves me, what makes it all right, it's that fair thing that God just did for me. I came back and I had no clue about this country, South Africa, that they love them some damn Karyn White. Look, they didn't forget all of my, from my first album, second album, third album, it just kept getting bigger. So when I step on that soil, I'm like Whitney Houston. Yeah. And I'm like, I had never been over there. So I just went on the 2018, I'm selling out stadiums. I'm like, who knew? Yeah. So it's so crazy because that is my great equalizer. Yeah. I'm like, I'm famous in South Africa. I really like, of course I want my fans in the United States to, I want to have that level, but I'm just thankful. Like I said, I'm like, wow, I had no clue. And they, they pass down the music to each generation, and these I'll be walking down the street and little 8-year-olds know me. I'm like, it's
wow.
crazy.
Wow.
So yeah, so look, that's my great equalizer. So I was look, I can be like, okay, what I'm definitely, y'all, as you can see, I don't know if you been watching or not, but I'm getting, I'm growing more in the States, and it's just been a journey, and I'm having fun. I'm not gonna complain. And we just, it's what does it say? The race isn't given to the swift, but he who endures. Yeah. And I'm over here 57 like I'm 26 because my energy, I got a lot of life in me. So I ain't stopping.
And you talked about your trajectory. So I do want to kind of enlighten some of the listeners who don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
But 3 Hot 100 singles on your debut album. That's coming out the gate, right?
Right. And I want to Guinness's World. What is it? I'm in the Guinness's World Book of Records for being the first solo artist female to have 3 number ones on her debut.
That is crazy. Yeah, that's so you talk about some of your contemporaries. I do think it separated you from the pack because at the time, a lot of people are putting Jody Watley.
Oh yes.
Janet Jackson is in that class as well. Like a lot of Pebbles is in that group as well. Just a lot of those New Jack Swing artists.
NASA.
Yeah, all of that. I do feel like you were starting to pull away from the crowd at the time, right? Yes. Going into the second album. And depending on the year, my favorite song from you changes every year. But Let's Get Romantic. That's kind of my jam. Like at least for these last 12 months, that's my favorite song. I love the video. Love your energy in the video.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a hot number 1 on the Hot 100. So it's sophomore, you come right back swinging, right? Yeah. Most people don't see that type of success in a career, and you do it in 2 albums. Do you feel Warner Brothers respected your craft going into the 3rd album?
Yes, it wasn't they respected my craft.
Okay.
Yeah. What I think what happened was I shouldn't have left my base, which was LA and Babyface. In a perfect world, if I could have done it over, I went to go meet with Prince, and we were supposed to work on the 2nd album because that's my I love Prince.
Label mate.
Yeah, label made, and just
goodness.
It's Prince. If you listen to Karyn White, you'll know she's influenced, especially if you come see me. You got to know who my influence is, Prince. So the 3rd album, they gave us the budgets. The budgets were there. It wasn't that. It was just we left our base. And this is me. I had a manager. Let me tell you guys who I had. My manager was Larkin Arnold. Let me tell you who this amazing guy is. You guys can Google him. He was the president of Sony. I think it was it CBS? Sony Records. He made the deal with Michael Jackson in the Thriller album, so he got so paid. If Michael did over 10 million, he would get so much money, and Michael did. I don't even know what Thriller did.
We don't even know at this point.
It did a lot.
Yeah,
he signed Marvin Gaye. He signed Sade. He signed Natalie Cole. I mean, he's responsible for science. And then he's an attorney, Black man. So he wound up stepping down and doing management. So he managed me, and I wound up when I got married and moved to Minnesota and all of that, and then. Jimmy and Terry, they had Janet, which was a competition. And when I was younger, I didn't even see it that way. I was so naive. I'm like, I'm not even thinking because I'm like, you know what I mean? I'm like, that's my girl,
Yeah, like a fan.
Yeah. So, but people don't look at it that way. They're like, wait a minute now. Look, you're coming up in my house. So, we had the history, LA and Face and I, and we should have worked on that 2nd album together. And I just heard LA Reid on a podcast with who was it? The podcast that LA Reid's on. It's the guy from The Roots, his podcast.
Oh, Questlove.
Questlove. And so I just found out, y'all, recently why they didn't work on the album. I was thinking it was one other reason. And it was because of a fight that Benny Medina had with LA Reid about he told LA Reid that he could not bring Pebbles to a Karyn White event. because it was a big marketing event where all these major people from Warner Brothers was going to be there. And they wanted to showcase me, and this is her team, and you can't come in there with the not the enemy, but the competition. Yeah, Marley Reed was hot. And he was like, well, then I ain't going. So I had no clue. I was like, oh my God. And Benny, and they just made up like maybe some years ago. You know, I was like, oh my God.
So this whole time you just found out just now.
I just found out. I never knew. I thought it was because, you know, Tony Braxton and their new label, and they can only do so much on the. So anyway, it didn't happen. And Terry always, I'm going to tell you, because even though he was my husband, it's kind of, you know, of course I wanted to work with them. They were incredible. You know what I'm saying? But they were like, your chemistry, you know, you're doing great. Why would you, you know? So I'm just thankful that they said, okay, we want to work with you too, because it put a lot of pressure on them to do, even though I'm not saying that they couldn't do it, but, you know, they were just like, okay, we'll try to step into their shoes. But it never was the kind of success that I had with LA. It's even to the point of different vocal producing. Because like, if you listen to that Ritual of Love, it's very, you know, like you know, take me in your arms, caress me gently. You know, it's airy.
Okay.
You know, and LA and facing them is a little bit more gritty. You know, it's that rawness that they like. So I was like, okay, like we like this side of you, we like that side. I'm like, who am I? Well, I'm all of it. But you know, it just, you know, we were just talking about. Well, I forgot where we were going.
I mean, you answered it. I mean, at the end of the day,
it's telling all the team.
It's leaving. You left your base, and I think it was more so towards leaving the base.
You left your base
as opposed to.
Let me go back to that. I left my base. I hired George Michael's manager, Rob Kahane.
Okay.
And he wanted to make me the Black Madonna, which you know, meaning Madonna.
Yeah,
so and that it took me very pop, and a lot of the songs we didn't release the right songs. There was a lot of great music on Ritual of Love that wasn't released because we were trying to go after that. We had a number one, so we wanted to cross over, and that's a lesson. It's like
because because when you look at your catalog, I mean, that's the one that went number one on Hot 100. But at the end of the day, as much as I say I'm jamming to that song these last 12 months, it's not a Superwoman. So the present day charts don't matter. It's all about the longevity. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly. And so that's the lesson. You know, you want to get to. I was like, man, and those are those things when you're younger. You're like, that was not the right call, because Warner Brothers believed, like I said, I was paying, it wasn't like I was getting a discount. I was paying Jimmy and Terry $100,000 per track, LA Babyface $125,000. I mean, this was on because I did work again with Babyface on the third album by itself.
Daryl was there as well.
Yeah, so look, they were getting paid. Trust me.
They got theirs. They got theirs.
Yeah.
So I have a question, or we have some friends of the show, a group who started, or they're from New York, and your name was mentioned.
Okay.
You were walking down the street and you saw a group of guys singing.
Solo.
Oh, solo.
Yeah.
Yes. They mentioned the story of how you came walking down the street and you heard them and got back to the hotel. And what did you hear and what did you see from that particular moment that you had to do something with them?
Wow. Thank you for crediting me with that, because I always give Terry the credit. I never really had to take that credit, but I'm trying to tell you, I've helped so many people because I love my musicians, and I love my family of musicians. It's so tough for us out here. I just heard the truth. Shit, I heard Motown. I heard grit. I heard truth. You understand? I heard pain. You know what I mean?
Talk about
Whatever
it.
was they were serving up, I heard it, and I
Okay.
felt it. And I was really impressed because music, what I really commend Jimmy and Terry on is they don't do the typical label thing, where it's like we take a version of Beyonce and sign the person that sounds like Beyonce to the third power, or an Usher. They believe in breaking different artists. That's why, Men Condition and Sounds of Blackness being their first release. So just getting back to, because we grew up with the Temptations and the OJs and the Whispers, and so that's what we heard. And I'm like, y'all need, the generation needs this music. And so that's what I heard. And they were some bad boys. I really I'm glad I haven't heard from them in a while. So that warms my heart. I'm glad.
I'm gonna have to reach out to Darnell and
tell Darnell.
reach out to him and tell him.
And we'll send him a snippet of
definitely
this
brought
clip.
your name up. He
Yeah.
definitely brought your name
And
up.
that's so good. Yeah, because those guys, they could sing.
Them boys can sing for real.
Sing. They could sing, boy.
So,
and just New York anyway. You know what I'm saying? That's that New York swag.
And they had grit too.
I think that's what Terry saw.
That's
what you saw in them to kind of nudge Terry that way. So I want to bring up some current events, and I'll get there. I also want to share a quote.
Okay.
So you were a part of the Hottest Ticket in 1989, and that's a tour with you, Bobby, Levert, and you opened the show, and here's what a reviewer wrote about you. And I'm actually pulling some of the quotes that don't shame the other performers. But a reviewer wrote how you stole the show even though you weren't the opening act. And here's what the piece that the reviewer wrote back in 1989. It says, White is a superb gospel-based ballad singer who poured her soul into her hit Superwoman. The moving exhortation from a woman whose man has forgotten to appreciate her tender loving care showcased a rarity in pop music, a genuinely homespun feminist anthem. So recently, SWV and Escape got into a war of words on who should open for who. In your opinion, in your history, does it matter?
Oh man, in my opinion, in my history, does it matter? Not really, because they're both great. But in that, I understand that this whole Escape is so blessed to have that such a comeback.
Yes.
With this reality TV, and we all know it's about who can put butts in seats. And those girls, they got a great fan base, and it has rejuvenated their whole career. So I could see why, if you're going to base it on not just the legacy, if you're going to base it on the artists selling tickets, and that's what the business is about, right? Selling tickets. So
selling tickets.
And coming from a Bobby Brown is probably my second favorite artist. Like I love his stage presence, all of that. But I was surprised when I read the review on they were raving about you, like you stole that show. So just based off of your history, like you come to sing and you come to perform. Whoever opens and closes, it won't matter as long as you come to play. So kudos to you and still in that tour, but good job.
Thank you. Let me tell you about that tour. You got to understand, me and Bobby both in our prime. I'm like the male version of him because we're both raw, wild, you know what I mean? Band, you know what I mean? So it was, and both same producers, him and, but except he had Teddy. But and just that it was just so he pretty much, and he would watch my show too. I mean, nobody comes for an opening act, but they would be over there it was that, and I would, of course, every night. So it's just it was such a great tour. I mean, like, woo, like I said, we toured for 2 years, and it was dope. And then just our bands. I had a great, my band played a lot of the guys that played with Prince and Sheila E. So I had an edge on them with my band. So I had a horn player, shut up, shut up. We I mean, we just could go, honestly, that's why. I mean, we were just such, I had a dope ass band.
Yeah.
And I really learned from you know, and like I said, you know, I love Tina and James and it's just that that wild card that people don't expect. And though that's you don't expect to see a woman doing all of that. You know what I mean? So that's really what they were like, what? You know, and so but Bobby will tell you, he's like, oh yeah, if anybody was gonna kick my ass, I'm glad it was you. That's what he said.
I can see Bobby saying it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but we all
I can see Bobby.
You know, he was the king of stage, but nobody touching him.
He was the king of stage.
King of stage. You already know, coming out heart and soul. It's swag.
Dance. I mean, you was on stage too with Rock With You.
Oh my God! Stop! Don't even bring that up. I'm all young and like a little innocent girl. Like even me, I was so funny. When I laughed at that, I'm like, oh my God. And Bobby, we only went out like on a couple of dates, so I hadn't even at that time we hadn't even dated or anything.
Yeah.
So it was just funny, but he was still Bobby Brown to me. You know what I mean? And I love the innocence that I had, even though I was a star. I was like,
yeah. See, be careful with Barry, Ms. White, because he is a historian.
Yeah.
I see.
He will research.
If I really want to embarrass you, I could pull up Ghostbusters 2 Red Carpet. You know, you and Bobby hand in hand, but I'm not going to do that.
I know.
He is a historian and he will research. So that's why we make that's when singers and producers they merge well together, because I lived the era. He researches. Wow. So our chemistry just blends together.
Y'all got no chemistry, and I love. You don't understand how that makes me feel, seeing that you guys you really know your stuff, and you know what I mean. And so that's all we want, especially R&B, because we've been so forgotten. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, hip hop. We love hip hop. Don't get me wrong.
Love it.
First person, you know, I love, you know, Jay-Z, Kanye,
yeah, love them all.
J. Cole, Kendrick, you know, Sean, all of them, Big Sean. But I'm just glad to see, you know, I just hate that about us. I'm like, oh, we've been so forgotten, you know.
And that's been the status of our channel. We focus on that 80s, 90s era of R&B. So that's why when you mentioned the Troops, we had John on, we had, you know, we had Riff on. So we focus on that particular era because, in my opinion, the 80s, 90s, that was the greatest era of that was the greatest era of R&B.
Wow.
You think, if we look at all the groups, all the singers, all of the big magnitude songs that came out during that time, we're still singing. They're still singing Superwoman today. And you can have a 20-year-old singing that right now. They know the song.
I get what you're saying. Because, you know, I'm going to say it, every generation has helped the next generation. So like, you know, Diana Ross and Shaka and them and Gladys, they didn't have the kind of success that, you know, Janet had, Whitney, you know what I'm saying? Anita. So then now you got even bigger with Rihanna and Beyonce and, you know, all these other artists. So that's what you guys are. Yeah. So you're just saying that definitely it was and it was because of MTV and all of that, the big change, and, you know, videos played a big part of the era too. That's why we feel, because like I grew up, you know, there was no videos with Shaka and all of them. You know what I mean? We just, it was the memories in our mind of what we were going through. But you guys have such a visual era, you know, when it was bigger than life. You know, that was what we lived for. We came home to see, you know, Michael on, you know, 30th anniversary, and Princess, Madonna. I mean, everything was huge. Jodie Watley was doing her thing. I mean, that was big, you know, and it was just big crossover.
Yeah.
Recently, I was on your IG page and I saw one of your most recent posts, you were creating with another friend of our show, Mr. Felton. Yeah.
Yeah, Love Train, huh?
Love
Train,
Train,
y'all.
Confusion.
Look, not
Yes.
Supersonic. We talking about the originators, right?
Yeah.
Yes, we're talking about Confusion, the originators. He is a friend.
Cooper.
He's a friend of the show. He's on.
Really?
He's a friend of the show.
Oh, you saw me doing that?
I saw you doing it. So, are we cooking something up or?
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
We kind of, he lives in Atlanta now too. So I told him I wanted to, had an idea. So played it for him. And so this was on, what was it? I think we were together it was like Thanksgiving or something. And so while everybody was in there eating, we were in there like working. Then I wound up, he sent me the track and then I went, so you guys saw me over there recording it. And I was going off. Mm-hmm. I was feeling it. And he was like, it was so funny because he was like, wow, he's so talented and so underrated. Talking about an underrated producer too.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
And go ahead, Bill.
No, it's Felton, and we've had Gordon Chambers on. And once you start seeing once you are exposed to it, you start seeing their names pop everywhere. Right. Here. I'm like, how did we not know all of this?
Yeah.
And just what you
have your
saying.
show. So you guys can keep it alive and educating the history, being a historian of music. And look, I'm scared because I'm scared he's gonna research something. He already knows. The
I would say, you're an easy search. I would say the stuff that comes up is flattering. I do think you.
Look, I don't even care. I can't even watch it because you got to be able to take the good just as well as the bad.
Yeah,
See,
you
know what I mean?
I could watch it. Like it's
you can. I can't.
I'm a fan. Like I said, I watch your Soul Train clips. I watch your music videos. I listen to the albums back and forth over.
No, I'm talking about the stuff, the comments. I was like,
no.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I can't watch that. Look, they'll have you batty. You be crazy watching. I'm like, I can't fool with it.
Like, wait, you said what? Oh no, I'm not.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, well, hold on now.
But check, so here's the thing.
Okay.
I would say when it comes to you, because you're so synonymous with the soundtracks of like Mothers Everywhere, like whenever I heard your voice, it's time to either clean or my mom's brokenhearted. So like so the folks that we're gonna send your way, they're fans and they're gonna be respectful in the comments. Bill found out about something cooking in the kitchen from you because he follows your social media. Miss White, what's the best way for fans to keep up with you?
Okay. IG is where I'm most prevalent. So it's Karyn White, Karyn White on IG, and then on Facebook. If you follow Facebook, Karyn White Official, and Twitter, Karyn White Official.
There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Bill, this one has been a special one for me. I try not to wear my emotions on my sleeve, but definitely I'm a fan. You know how I feel about New Jack Swing. And I think this is definitely one of the first ladies of New Jack.
Am I the queen of New Jack?
Hey, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but I definitely say you wear that crown. That's just my opinion.
You got it.
I'm
the queen. Janet was before New Jack.
I'm not really counting Janet as New Jack. Now,
good. Okay.
Yeah. So, and I know the industry did that, but I feel like you got to be a seed of Babyface or Teddy. And I feel like you touch so many different umbrellas. So I'm giving you that queen title. If somebody comes back for the smoke, I just
I already got the title.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Yeah. Queen of New Jack. I'm saying
Queen of New Jack.
Queen of New Jack.
There we go.
She's a queen of New Jack.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Miss White, definitely you're the queen. We want to give you your flowers. We're glad to see you back in the kitchen and then still touring. I love you just like the folks in South Africa. So just keep performing. And I love that energy you bring on stage. The stage presence has never left, so we want to see more of that. Bill, anything you want to add?
Hopefully you make your way down to the Orlando, Tampa area, and
we're gonna be front center.
We will be front center.
Better. Yeah, we were just there, not in Tampa. We were in West Palm Beach, but I'll be back there soon because I like Florida. I've been there a couple of times. So definitely we want to make sure I keep in touch with you guys, and I want to follow you guys as well.
Okay.
So absolutely. Sure I get your information. And y'all need to let me know if there's anybody that you want to try to get that you can't get, because they need to do your show.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that offline after. And then hey, Bill, actually speaking of that, the fans could help us out with that too. Like who are folks that we want to see, and then how can the fans let us know who they want to see, Bill?
Yeah, the fans know what to do. They go to our comment section. We call that My 2 Cents. They leave their 2 cents. Let us know who you guys want us to possibly get on our channel. Any questions you have for Miss White, the queen of New Jack Swing, we're going to make sure that.
I'm saying that, huh?
No, I'm telling you, you are a stamp. You are stamped by our channel.
Thank you.
You are the queen of New Jack Swing.
So I'll definitely, definitely be following you guys too. And congratulations. I'm so glad.
Thank you so much.
Have your podcast and keep it up. We love you guys. We appreciate you, and you keep doing it.
Oh,
keep
man.
giving us soul. Like I'm doing documentaries now. Okay.
Hey, Bill, remind the fans what to do to show their support.
Hey, like this video, comment, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell.
Hey, there we go. Hey, we just survived 12 rounds with an undisputed champ. Miss White, how you feel?
Woo. Hi. Look, I'm tired. Y'all wore me out.
He had you on the road.
Memory lane. Look, y'all done got me spilling all the tea.
That rope-a-dope. Hey, that's all that we got, guys. Until next time, look forward to seeing you guys next time. Peace. Everybody say peace.
Peace.